Whoa! What? Hey! What's up? What? I wasn't ready.
You're like, oh, she on the dot.
Dang, she got it like 420 on the nose. What's up,
No, a finger on the
everybody?
button.
What's up, Nex? We can always count on Nexus to be here in the comments. Thank you so much for the love and support, Nexus.
I bet Nex has his notifications set. And so he knows.
I bet he does.
4:20 on Monday, I'm going to tune into the girls and say what's up.
Mm-hmm. So y'all, welcome to the Cannabis Closet podcast. I am Canna Queen. This is MJ.
What
up? Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up on today's show. Is going to be especially amazing. We're going to be talking about that new study that's out. So see if we're safe sitting here. Puff passing. Listen,
we're all in our separate rooms. You're in your room and I'm in my room.
Just for the record, no matter what this study says, puff passing is not safe right now. It is not safe right now unless you know for a fact that you're puff passing with COVID negative people. That's real life.
Actually one of the studies, one of the concern studies that I have here in regard to everything we're going to talk about today.
So yeah. We've been busy today. What's going on today? Just so much. We hired an intern producer. So that's fun. He's actually wearing like a million hats for us right now.
You have a million hats on, right?
A million hats.
But willingly.
Willingly. We didn't force anything. We said we need this. And he said, I could do that. And so that's what's happening right now. See, I can smoke safely with you guys. That's right, because we're in separate rooms and we got our own separate stuff. Everything's good. Everything's good to go. So we've been working hard today, all day long, to prepare this episode for you and also to prepare the future for you. So we're trying to get our numbers up. For example, oh, hey, listen,
well,
that just popped up there. That's cool. But if you want to smoke on what I'm smoking on these King Palms, go ahead and go to the kingpalm.com website and get your King Palms for 15% off. KPTCCPJAN. That's KPTCCPJAN. That's the January code, and it lasts into mid-February, I think. So yeah, we've been working. I've been on this computer since 6:30 this morning, and I am woo. It's been good.
Yeah, it's been good. I mean, I have articles and highlights, and I'm sure I'll forget to say half the things that I want to say today. But
I got the show notes up so we don't forget.
Should we start with our content warning?
Yeah. I'll go ahead and
give her a go.
Do that. So trigger warning, everybody. You're about to be highly educated with the Cannabis Closet with Canna Queen and MJ. This is adult content show with no limitations on subject, language, or actions. Opinions, views, and expressions may or may not be that of the hosts and their subsidiaries. If you aren't sure what our views are, don't worry. We're going to tell you what they are. Don't even worry about it. Or just take a good look at our faces. That's pretty good implication of what's going on in our minds. So go ahead and pack it up, roll it up, light it up, because it's time to get this session started. Thanks for coming out with us. And make sure you share, like, subscribe, any of the options. Do all of that stuff. We are working on getting our viewership up this year. And so it will be very helpful if you go ahead and share our content with all of your friends. I don't care if they think they want to listen to cannabis content or not. They do. They absolutely are interested. Trust me.
They absolutely do, especially with it's in the headlines daily now, whether it's to do with finances, stocks, new studies. Today, right. Our topic, COVID and cannabis, really what's going on. And, so yeah. Share.
What's up, Dusty? Yeah, share, and share some more. It's going to help us get not only our numbers and viewership up, it's also going to help us like with our Instagram and stuff. Don't forget that we're having a contest on our Instagram to give away a glass piece once we reach 1,000. So you guys can join us on there. And we moved that contest actually from TikTok to Instagram because we decided last year when they kept banning us for saying the word cannabis that we were done with TikTok. We're over it. And well, in fact, we're not. We
We're back. It's a new year.
New year, new us, I guess. I don't know. We decided to go ahead and come back on TikTok very carefully. We're treading lightly. So we did post a new video today, and honestly, I feel like we're gonna figure out another contest to have since we moved the initial contest over, name it to claim it contest over to Instagram. We will definitely look at doing something for TikTok. But here it is, name it to claim it. Once we reach 1,000, we're going to have a giveaway right here on a live show. And it's going to be a name it to claim it situation. So we're going to pick the most favoritist name, and that person is going to win this lovely dinosaur egg situation. And it comes with a banger and a bowl, which is really nice. So you can smoke flower or wax.
Or wax.
Yeah. So has the new Colorado law affected you at all so far going into dispensaries? Like, have you had any issues picking up new medicine, or has it been a little slower with them trying to put the information in?
Well, I haven't had to have a clinic yet. What our issue is that patients that we have seen that have active licenses that have increased documentation, they're now required to have this uniform certification. Some of these, we don't have access to the practitioner. One of our practitioners left, and so we don't have her to sign off on things that are necessary for these patients. Again, has to be an in-person signature. So, I have information, the practitioner has the information, but they have to do some follow-up information because some of it that's required. We do some great documentation, but some of the stuff that the state requires, we have to do more.
Right. So I just brought it up because I've noticed that it is taking a little bit longer in the dispensaries because they've got extra stuff to do with these new laws too. So I just want to remind everybody that when you do go into a dispensary to purchase your products, your meds, whatever side you're purchasing on, I think they're all meds, but when you are purchasing, be kind to your bud tenders. They are doing the absolute best they can. And they have to also grapple with some of these new rules and do things a different way. For example, they have to, on the medical side now, report your purchase when it happens. And the reason they have to do that is because they also have to go in to the state system and make sure that you have not purchased your limit for the day before they can sell you any product. So this is all in turn making things go a lot longer. And until they streamline their process, it's going to take a little bit longer to get through.
I would love to know if the tech companies were ahead of the game and forethinking on that sense as these regulations were getting ready to go into play. Were they ready to go? I have not spoken to any of my facilities to see if that glitched them at all, having to report this information. Or if, again, it has to go back to metric. Metric has to, it all connects somewhere, right? And I would assume it's the metric system.
It's going to all, connect in the metric instead. Because Colorado did not plan for connection in the medical system except through metric. So in Colorado, the stores can use their own point of sale system and tracking system. They don't have to use one, like in some states they have a contract with one company, and so everybody uses it and everybody's connected. But it's not like that in Colorado. There's several companies out there, and they can use anyone that works best for what they're doing.
But they all have to go back to metric. So I guess, and however that, whatever company that runs metric has to make sure that that information is available. I mean, I know on the very basic, you used to be able to, log into the site, see what numbers were active or if they were invalid for any reason, not any reason, but it would show invalid.
Yeah.
And I would assume it's that same old school, not easy to find way.
Yeah, no. So, you know, they're you know, they got to figure it out. So yeah, that's about it for follow-up news. It is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I don't like to say Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I think it's weird.
No, it's not a happy Martin Luther. I don't.
It feels
like,
weird to say it. I mean, I've said it in the past because that's what, you know, you do in society. You do what everybody else does. But as I become, you know, older, more educated, more involved in topics, I don't know. Happy is not the word I would use. I think that we should all take some time out to honor what he was about and remember that he, you know, we're still fighting for the same shit he was fighting for and marching for. Systemic racism still exists. Black and brown men especially, but Black and brown people die on a daily, regular basis. I will say daily. I will go so far as to say daily. I think we don't hear about a lot of them. Remember, we didn't hear about Ahmaud Arbery for months after it happened, until after it happened. So I just think, you know, that we should reflect every day. But when we get a reminder like federal holiday, then definitely take some time out of your day and you know, remember that we still have this fight to fight. It's not over. It doesn't make sense to people who have a single cell in their brain. Like, it does not make any sense. So anyways, it would have been Betty White's 100th birthday today. Happy birthday, Betty White, in heaven.
Happy birthday, Betty.
Or in floating throughout the universe. I don't know. I think she's like protecting us somewhere. So yeah, there was something on the internet right after she had passed away. It was like just a few days before her birthday. And it said something like she had lived through so many leap years that technically we could give her those days, and she made it to 100. Yes,
for sure. I mean,
I feel like I know we've already moved on from a little bit from the topic, but Next makes a very good point. Make changes, not holidays. Yeah, the same government that killed Martin Luther King Jr. is the same government that created a holiday for him. Also, you know, make changes. Don't just put people on coins. You know, we want to see change. We want to see a difference. We want to see Sean King's doing
about it. Why, you know, this is where it starts, right? Education of why we have this holiday. I'm not sure what they're teaching in schools these days.
Not what they should be teaching. They weren't teaching what they should have been teaching when we were kids. They've cut a lot of it out, and a lot of the truth is not there. Sean King's doing this thing in 2022 where he's tracking violence by police officers, not just towards Black and brown community, just towards each other, towards their spouses, towards their children, like he's trying, like this is a whole, this is how they behave. This isn't just one incident. So yeah, if you guys don't follow Sean King, I think from what I've seen, he does great work for his community. And he definitely educate, and no matter what you think about him, he definitely puts out the knowledge. So
sister was telling me there, a couple different specials. She's always watching different documentaries and whatnot. She needs to chime in here, but
where is she? She's been gone. The audience misses her. We miss her.
She was we were talking about the LA riots and why they started, and the events that led up to them, and then and it's just appalling. And what you don't we grew up with it, but we didn't, for us, even just in high school, it was like it was more like Saturday Night Live jokes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was just
We
thinking
knew about it was through
what you saw on the limited. Yeah. And you know what? And it was, I was listening to something, I was actually listening to my favorite podcast, which is My Favorite Murder. And they were saying how, we only had a few news channels and they're all owned. We already know that the news channels we have now are all owned by the same people. It was even worse with like 3 news channels. So we were getting all the same news. All of us were. There was no difference in the news that we were getting back then. And so all of us had the same, unless we were finding like outside sources to get real legitimate coverage, we weren't getting the real news about this stuff. And I was thinking as you were talking about that I know our Wednesday shows are usually for banter and laughter and stuff, but I would love to talk to somebody whose experience was different than mine. I was a white girl living in the South watching this on the news, right? But I would like to talk to somebody who had a completely different experience, because while I was shocked that it was happening, it wasn't so realistic for me. Honestly, it wasn't a reality for me.
like I said, a joke. It was a joke that whatever the phrase was pulled from a video, or
can't we all just get along?
That one, yeah.
That's the one. Can't we all just get along? And that lasted forever. And remember, this is
at like behind it is horrific, and what happened is
it was horrifying. It's horrifying if you read the details of that story. And this was like it wasn't in the beginning of the computers. We had computers, we had Oregon Trail and shit. But this was like kind of in the beginning of like internet shit, like where shit would start going like, so this was a viral thing, like a viral phrase. Can't we all just get along? And it lasted for ever. It's still you'll hear people from our generation say something like that as like a little joke. But in reality, this man was like begging. He was begging for this to just stop. He didn't want it to happen to anybody else. He didn't want us fighting. He didn't want, and none of us did that had any sense about it. It was just, he was trying to put out this message. I want us to please get along and be more peaceful, and this not to happen to another person who looks like me. And that's not the message that was pushed forward by our media, sadly. So just some things to reflect on when we talk about celebrating Martin Luther King Jr., when we talk about Black History Month is next month. These are things that we should reflect on and remember that it's not over. It's not over. It's almost normalized, and that's a little scary for me.
And that's as scary. I think there's always discussion about that, and people again turning a phrase and so that it becomes, you just don't hear it because that white noise.
Also, I think it's a little bit that we I know I do personally, but all of us are traumatized by something, especially if we're Gen X, or it's early millennials, just in general, not just the early ones, but we're all traumatized, and our parents did not go to therapy. So a lot of us deal with trauma with what? Humor. It's funny.
Yeah, our therapy was Saturday Night Live.
Exactly. And if we're laughing about it, it doesn't hurt so much, right? So I think that's a little bit of it, is like societally we went into that zone, I think. So yeah.
So we wanna, let's see, where are we at?
Where are we at?
We
All right.
We're minutes from starting our topic discussion.
Look at us too. 20 minutes in, we get through the banter. That doesn't always happen. We're actually using show notes today. That's why we're like, what's next? What's next? But we are trying to bring you a more streamlined show. Like I said, we've hired an intern producer. Today's his first day, so he's kind of just checking us out right now and seeing where his skills are going to be best utilized. His name is Brian. So if you hear us yelling for Brian to do something, that's who we're yelling at. And Brian, do you mind? Can we bring you on real quick? We just want to bring you on so everybody can see your beautiful face. Gonna bring him through.
Hello.
Give us a thumbs up if you're gonna do it anyway.
There he is. This is Brian, everybody.
Hello.
This is Brian.
My lighting's terrible, but hi.
It's okay.
He's
say hi.
He's handling the keyboard for us. He's gonna start throwing up banners. He's also helping us come up with our intro music. You know, we're gonna have some tunes soon.
Yes.
And so he's our Brian of all trades.
Yes, he is. Absolutely.
Yeah,
He's helping us with
design.
artwork.
We've got design artwork and so we're
and he's just overall fun to talk to. Also, he's got a great sense of humor.
I'm a blast. I'm funny.
We look forward to bringing you his sense of humor. You have a podcast you want to talk about? No, you're not ready to talk about. I jumped the gun on that. You're not ready yet, but he does have a podcast.
It's going to be so amazing. It's going to be the single greatest podcast that's ever been podcasted. So I just want to wait to announce it till
except for this one.
Except for the second greatest. Sorry, it's going to be the second greatest podcast that's ever been made.
As soon as he's ready, though, we're gonna definitely advertise for that. So definitely look for that and listen out for it. All right. Bye, Brian. We are talking about COVID and cannabis today. We thought it was really important to bring you guys this topic today because there's so many headlines out about it. And immediately, what do? Just general public, we see that headline and we're like, oh, look at me. Look how safe I am.
And
smoking the COVID away.
until I have my own story, but
until we're not smoking the COVID away. So we definitely wanted to talk about this, real life, bring you the real facts about what's going on. And so we've read over the actual study. We've also looked at a couple of different articles about this. Each of us have looked at several articles about this. And we've also read the interview between Dr. Richard Van Bremen, who is the first author on the Oregon State University study. So he did an interview with Vice News that we're going to talk about a little bit, and let you guys know what the facts are and how we move forward with this information.
So I think we wanted to start from the beginning. I don't think anybody doesn't know what COVID-19 is, but just for the sake of information, and this is just from Hopkins Medicine. COVID-19, it's the SARS-CoV-2 variant, emerged in 2019, and it can be severe, and as well as and has caused millions of deaths. We know this. And what has been reported on it, regardless of what you're looking at and which side of the fence you sit on in regard to vaccines. It can be spread from person to person, mostly through
air droplets,
particulates,
your bodily fluids, your
bodily airborne, bodily function particulates.
She said bleh. Don't throw up. It's not from, you can just be talking to somebody and pass this virus back and forth. So that's how small the particulates are.
And so that is the basics of COVID. There are many coronaviruses, just so we're clear. And this is just a novel virus. And
COVID-19, as of December 2021, had at least 272 million cases worldwide, 5.3 million deaths worldwide, and over 600,000 new cases daily. And this is statistics as of December. So just to put it in perspective. So while there are different variants of this, that one seems to be one of the most extreme.
Yes.
At least that we've seen since the 1918 flu, which, by the way, also everybody in the public reacted the same way that everybody in the public is reacting now, except there were less of them at the time. And still, there were a lot of deaths during that time. People were wearing masks and waiting to get that flu vaccine.
Right. We were talking about the Spanish influenza, and 50 million people died. And is the number that I think we were reading today. And so, again, this is a novel virus, and this is going to continue to, it'll continue to mutate as viruses do.
They do.
And so it spreads, and, again, hand washing, hygiene, strong immune systems. These are all supporting, factors. We have to think about this holistically and whole body, or whole, however you want to look at it. But it isn't just one cure all be all. It isn't one look at. We're talking about cannabis and coronavirus today, but it doesn't mean that cannabis is the cure all. This is not
definitely not.
This is not what this headline news is. It's not, and people want to run with that headline of, "Ooh, cannabis is curing corona." No,
makes for a good meme though.
It does, and it is exciting news though. It does draw more attention to the positive healing benefits of this plant, why we need to preserve it as a whole. And we're going to get into that with some of the cannabinoid science and how it relates to this headline.
I'm really excited about this study though, because it does mean a lot. There's a lot here.
It is the beginning. It is opening up the doors, from this stage of where, how they've begun this. I mean, the discussion and cannabis and corona, started in 2020. There have been different talks about it. This particular one, they've actually taken it that next step. It's the Petri dish. They've
on their own.
On their own. So, want to talk real quick about why cannabis, and a little bit about something, the COVID-19 and the prevalent or one of the primary biological events that is occurring, and causing the acute respiratory distress, and it's called a cytokine storm. And so cytokine is, and I actually had to go look some of these up. We are not scientists. We are not medical professionals
at all.
We are reading information that we have found and are referencing different articles. And so a cytokine protein, small proteins that are crucial in controlling the growth and activity of our immune system cells and blood cells. And so when released, they signal the immune system to do its job. Cytokine affects the growth of all blood cells and other cells that help the body's immune and inflammation responses. And so a cytokine storm is where the body experiences an extreme increase in pro-inflammatory cytokines, and lead to an increase in inflammation. And so with COVID-19, it's saying, patients often suffer from lung fibrosis. This is the serious and untreatable condition that leaves lung tissue scarred, and it makes it more difficult for you to breathe.
That's long-term too. Even if you recover, if you had like a lot of lung damage or stress on your lungs during your symptomatic period, that can be long lasting. I've definitely talked to a few people who still have a hard time breathing 6 months plus after having had and recovered from COVID. People who still have not gotten their taste and smell back. Those two are linked, by the way, so that's why those two are gone together. So and months plus after having had and recovered from COVID. So keep it in mind, you still want to take precautionary measures when you're out and about, because even if your symptoms are mild, there could be long lasting effects from COVID in general. So just take necessary precautions. Stay the fuck away from people that you don't know. That's what I'm saying. And some of them that you do know, just stay the fuck away from them.
Yes, be mindful. If you've had it, take your time to recover and feel better and not spread.
Pause for a minute. Somebody please bless my joint, because it keeps going out and it's really irritating me. So
send you some joint vibes. This cytokine and cannabis information, cytokine storm and cannabis information is coming from the Journal of Aging. Yes, and goes into talk about, if a substance could stop the cytokine storm, it would be able to suppress inflammation, prevent lung fibrosis, and put COVID-19 patients in remission. So this is when we're talking about what cannabis and cannabinoids can do and the anti-inflammatory properties of these cannabinoids. So it talks about cannabis sativa, was found in a cytokine storm study to reduce multiple cytokines and pathways related to inflammation and fibrosis.
When just a second, real quick, when they talk about cannabis sativa, everybody, they're not talking about sativa leaning, what we talk about in terminology. They're talking about hemp. So cannabis sativa L, all cannabis falls under that umbrella. But when they're stating this in this story, they're specifically speaking about the hemp plant. So anyways, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Two of the cytokines that cannabis sativa reduced were, these are scientific letters, I'm just reading, TNF-A and IL-6, which are thought to be main targets when trying to block a COVID-19 cytokine storm and acute respiratory distress syndrome. And so cannabis is helping produce these, reduce
the storms.
Yes.
Got it. So sorry, I just got a little bit paused.
That's
so
okay.
what's so reduces those cytokine storms. So that's part of a different study, is that correct?
Right. This is from it just says the aging study. It's for the Journal of Aging. And it doesn't I will pull this up and I think I put it in our messenger. So I'll pull
I just had it open. I just had it opened up.
This was the cannabis as a treatment for COVID-19 article.
Mm-hmm. So most of the studies that have been done on cannabis and COVID, the physical studies, have been done in a petri dish. So that's for starters. So there are no human trials and there are no animal trials thus far. But they're finding that not only, he didn't talk about the cytokine storms, but he was talking about the small molecule therapeutic agents.
Right. So that's the study. So this is going to talk about how these three cannabinoids are going to are essentially working against the viral spike protein. So they're
okay. And those three cannabinoids are CBGA, CBDA, and potentially THCA.
And that is cannabigerol, cannabidiol, and cannabidiol.
Y'all know.
I gotta bring the tetrahydrocannabinol like always because there's.
So here's okay. So these are all of the acetic compounds, though. This isn't the difference between THCA and THC is a hydrocarbon. So what happens is when we heat these elements up, these molecules up, they drop that acetic compound. That's what creates the psychoactivity, for example, with THC. So that's why you get high, is because you got that stuff hot and it dropped that acetic part of the compound and created THC. So it was a conversion. So that's that. These compounds that we're talking about are going to be found in raw plant material. Majority of the time, that's where you find it immediately. Non-heated raw plant material. So we have CBGA and CBDA and THCA. CBD and THC, everybody kind of knows the ins and outs of that. But if you do have any questions about them, please ask them in the comment section, because we want to make sure you're really clear on what we're talking about here. But CBGA is kind of new. So I wanted to take a moment to explain what that is. It is also a cannabinoid, similarly like CBD and THC. These that when we say CBGA, we're saying that it still has the carboxylic acid on it, which means it hasn't been heated up yet. It's a different element. It's going to drop that when we heat it up. So CBGA is a cannabinoid. In the plant itself, it triggers necrosis. And that means that some of your leaves are just going to naturally start dying off. And the reason it's going to happen is because the plant is naturally pruning itself. So this is where we would take these dead leaves off. This is a natural thing that occurs, and it occurs because of CBGA. The CBGA is the parent cannabinoid of the plant. So every plant that you've ever come across started with CBGA. That CBGA usually over time creates THCA, CBDA, and CBCA. We'll discuss CBC on another episode. It's also a cannabinoid. And it's CBG is usually in most plants, usually by the time you're in early flower stage, CBGA has transformed into another cannabinoid. It's already something else. Very few molecules of CBGA still exist in your average plant, even though that's where it starts. But plant scientists are and have been creating plants or working with plants so that they maintain the CBG and it doesn't transform into the other cannabinoids, or not as much of it does. So there's more availability, and that means that we're going to see more availability of it on the shelf, for example. Let's see. It was discovered 50 years ago, and then it was isolated 30 years later. It's great for treating cardiovascular disease. It inhibits an enzyme that contributes to oxidative stress, which causes cardiovascular issues. It activates your PPAR, which regulates your metabolism. And this can help with diabetes, high cholesterol, and high triglycerides. It actually has been shown to kill colon cancer cells. It also hastens early cancer cell death for young cancer cells. It hastens their death, and it stops the cell cycle. So it stops new cells from forming. It also helps prevent polyp growth. Polyps untreated could turn into cancerous cells. So it also prevents that. CBG also can act as an anti-inflammatory, a mood stabilizer, an appetite stimulant. It can act as an antibacterial and antioxidant, as we talked about earlier with the enzyme inhibitors, and can help with IBD, that's irritable bowel syndrome for those who don't know, and can be a neuroprotectant. As a neuroprotectant, it's very important because it can help treat autism, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, schizophrenia, and multiple sclerosis. All of those are neurological issues with the brain. Because it helps as an anti-inflammatory, that's also going to help with all of those illnesses, because inflammation is one of the key components to those illnesses, a lot of those illnesses. So it's a really very amazing cannabinoid. Also, I haven't been able to refine the study, so I'm still looking for, not the study, but the article that I found it in, but I'm still looking for this article. But when I was teaching about cannabis in general, on the road all the time, I did come across an article. CBG also helps block the psychoactivity of THC. So it can help THC become more therapeutic for the individual. So they're not battling those psychoactive effects. They're just getting the medicinal effects from the THC. It's a very interesting compound. And I just want to tell you guys about it because it's one of the, in its raw form, it's one of the necessary compounds that we would use to treat COVID or prevent COVID as an illness, if in fact this study stands true, if it can be replicated and in human studies. So I'll pass it back to you. Sorry, I just took over.
No, that's where exactly where we were going with the going into the cannabinoid breakdown. So they started. So let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned Dr. Richard Van Bremen and the university. Let's see, Oregon State University is where the study originated out of for this particular headline news. And so their team actually proposed this back in 2020 to the National Institute of Health, the NIH. And
fuck the NIH for this
they were like, nah, there's no proof of this principle and that it can work. And so
we were talking about this because in the past, a lot of this information that I just gave you about CBG, this was studied in Israel. A lot of the information we have on cannabis comes out of Israel, because in the United States, it was almost impossible. And I say almost because the only time any grants were given, if ever, was if the requesters said, hey, we're going to get a negative effect of cannabis. For example, they would say, we think cannabis causes lung cancer. And then they might be able to get the grant that way because it was negative about cannabis. And then if they did the study and they came up with an opposite hypothesis, usually it was deep, nobody else could follow up on that.
Right.
So then we don't have, a peer-reviewed study that has backing from other studies that have gotten the same result. We can't do it here in the United States. And it's been difficult until legalization. And it's still very difficult with legalization, actually, because it's still federally not legal. And that's where a lot of these grants for the colleges come from. So,
and they have hiccups. Yeah, exactly. So,
and they did have a hiccup with this one too. So the NIH said, no, sorry.
No, we're not. They didn't give them the money. And this, Dr. Bremen's like, they did it anyway.
They were like, we're doing it.
And so it kind of rolls into what you were, just actually talking about, is that they are talking about the principle what they've established is that small molecule, including natural products. And then in this case, they pulled in hemp and the ability to stop the virus from infecting human cells. So they were actually started with other natural compounds. They were looking at black cohosh, red clover, and licorice, and then they brought in hemp into the study. So it was like, and talking about all of these natural compounds and their capability to bind to the spike protein and act as a block or a preventative.
Mm-hmm. So they were like, we have these other plants and this one too.
And so, but they, kind of went into again talking about.
So did they get like the grant? Did they get? I don't know if they
get the grant. They didn't get the grant.
They didn't get the grant at all.
I'm
wondering how they paid for it.
I don't think
I don't think
half.
he went into that, but
That
I'm curious as
question.
to how they funded it.
That's a good.
They were like one of those movies that you watch about the end of the world, and then like these scientists come in and save the world against government wishes because the government told them no, and they were like, "Fuck it, we're doing it anyway." And then they do it, and then they save the world, right? This sounds like they could make a whole production of this.
Right. Probably, yes.
Speed it up, get it out of the petri dish. We need,
Get
we
it
need
out
results.
of the petri dish. They did talk about they weren't allowed to really do the study on THCA. That even though they believe in the entourage effect, if you will, or
Yes.
whole plant, or all synergistic effect, that they think, based on the results from CBGA and CBDA, that THCA in conjunction with would only benefit it more.
So because of federal legalization and because this was done in a college, they could not utilize THCA. THCA is non-psychoactive in its form. However, as we talked about before, if you heat it up, it becomes THC. And now they have this problem that they can't work with the psychoactive component. And so then they can't work with the precursor to that either. So that's why they couldn't study THC. But based on what they know about the molecule itself and how it interacts, generally speaking, they concluded that they think that this should be part of the mix as well.
Right, and they certainly did address that this is not, again, a treatment or a cure for COVID or for coronavirus, and that they and we're talking again, we're not smoking it here. The smoking it is not what's going to help you. It is it is the ingestion of it in raw form, juicing, extraction methods that low temperature heat that doesn't carboxylate. Was it
decarb it? So yeah,
carboxylates it
because you're dropping the carboxylic acid, so you're decarbing it. Your temperatures for that are going to be between 230 degrees to 266 degrees. So you would have to keep your temperatures below that during the processing phase if you were going to turn it into an oil or something, like well below that, so that you don't turn those acetic
raw plant material and carboxylating it at a low temperature so that it
well, you don't want to decarb it at all at that point. If you did add heat, you would want to add it below the threshold that would turn it. So 230 to 250 would turn THCA to THC, for example. 266 would turn CBGA to CBG, for example. I think I didn't mix those numbers up. I think I got those right. So you would want to keep it well below those temperatures in order to maintain that acetic compound, which are the ones you need. You don't need the ones that have been decarbed. You need the ones that have still have that carboxylic acid attached to it. Those are the ones. And they said the entourage effect is where it's going to be most effective. So these compounds on their own could be slightly effective, but together, that's when we see the results.
The best results, and using it in conjunction with other dietary supplements, and again, maintaining your health in other ways.
Drink water.
Good hygiene.
Wash your hands.
Drink water. Lots of water.
Wash your ass.
Wash your hands. So we're gonna just keep saying these over and over.
Personal preference: also wash your ass, and then wash your hands after you wash your ass. So
yes, but also, so when you are if you have come in contact, if you are feeling unwell, there's nothing wrong with going ahead and starting to take antivirals to help your immune system along, to push it out of your system, and and
Where were you going?
Yeah.
No, you're right, actually. And I was actually going to say, I can't use this. I can only use it slightly anecdotally, but we have a friend whose whole family got COVID. And actually, this friend is slightly immunocompromised as well. He is vaccinated, and he did not get COVID while his whole family had COVID. And so I asked him about his, do you take oils like every day? If you guys see the background changing, that's our producer just kind of playing with different backgrounds and stuff. I love it.
No, it's great.
Fantastic. It's like, so if you see us changing on the screen, that's what's happening. He's just out here playing with the StreamYard controls. So anyway, this friend, so they said that they don't take oils daily, but they do take CBG oil every 3 days. I don't know if it was the acetic or if it was like a broken down CBG, but I was like, that's so interesting. So I think that you could even look for some anecdotal evidence while preparing for the next round of experimentation, which they would need grants for. We need federal legalization so that this can be really studied, because this is super important. People are dying. Millions of people are dead because of this virus. And this could be really important research. I can't even believe that with legalization, at least in this country, over more than half of the states, that you wouldn't even consider this as an option, especially in a state that has legalization, has access to the plant material. So they had to use they did get a little bit of THCA, I think, but it was like the minimal amount that you find in hemp that's not like super stressed out, like the legal hemp, the legal standards of hemp, which is 0.03% THC, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So
right.
That's all they had to work with, you
Yeah.
know, and it's not a lot. It's just like minuscule amounts. But so, okay.
This is also why internationally there's different studies and different information available as well, things that haven't been peer reviewed necessarily. I was looking at another article, I think it's out of Canada, or maybe it's out of Illinois, I'm not sure, but it's also talking about how cannabidiol inhibits SARS-CoV-2 or CoV-2 replication and promotes the host's innate immune response. And this was from March of 2021. So this was from last year.
Yeah.
But it's not reviewed.
Yeah. And the problem in the United States is that we cannot get follow-up studies to prove the point. So all of this that we're saying to you right now needs more studies, needs another study to back it up. Somebody else has to do this in a petri dish and back it up before we at least 1 to 2 to 3, hopefully more people need to back this up.
Get more, and I think that again another article that I was reading is they actually did do talked about cannabis in consumption increase since COVID-19 and the lockdowns and everything. And they talked about how they have been able to track how many, they're talking about joints and how much, they've tracked joint usage and increase and some, yeah, yeah.
Good luck.
Anyway,
good luck tracking my joint usage, everybody.
But we talked about our friend who had the experience, my own experience of I had been taking my supplements and my oils, and then for whatever reason, because I do this, I will stop taking and doing all the things that are
guilty,
and decided to do that right before I went out. And lo and behold, my friend that I went out with tested positive, and I started feeling, headache and sore throat, but it was different from her symptoms. And, so I started taking all my different antivirals and, this little kit that I, got from a naturopath office. And, 3 days later, I didn't have any more symptoms of anything, and my friend is still kind of battling some of the congestion and crap.
I will say that in this study, in the interview, he did an interview, and he stands. Tell me his name again, Richard.
Dr. Bremen, Van Bremen.
Okay. Yes, Dr. Richard Van Bremen. He stands behind this study. He in the interview, he suggests that that if somebody wants to use these compounds to give it a shot. Basically, he doesn't say it that way, but he's basically, encouraging it. Like, and you wouldn't want to smoke it. You would want to do it in edible form or oil form. So here's the thing with edibles, though, that I have to point out is that most edibles are made with higher temperatures. So you would have to add the compounds to the edibles at very, very low temperatures and hope that they bind too. So there's a whole thing about that. I would say there's cold press extraction for oils and things like that. So I've seen THCA oils with very low and minuscule amounts of THC. Same with CBDA oils with low and minuscule amounts of CBD. So, just getting a combination of these compounds. I'm a huge advocate for using what you can together. So a majority of what we have access to is CBD and THC. So they touted the entourage effect. They didn't call it that, but he definitely said use these compounds together and they're going to be most effective together. That is the entourage effect. And then another paper that we read talked about the effect of terpenes. Now, there are certain terpenes that are going to have an opposite effect we want to stay away from, and certain terpenes that are going to help with things like inflammation, mostly that, and just helping with relaxing the body, aches and pains and things like that. That would be a good combination in your entourage effect. He didn't go into which terpenes would be better. I don't think it did go into which ones would be better.
It did not. It did not. But I want to kind of jump back to the aging. Was that the study that I was looking at? The other journal. They talked about cannabis being useful and therapeutic for the anxiety and mental health aspects of what COVID-19 and the pandemic has brought about. And that, people being alone, or, again, this one talking about the increase of use, amongst women and children, or adolescent, not children, adolescents, but, youth of a certain age. And that, again, why it's a concern. This, concern is, we tend to loosen, and be sharing, puff pass, and if we are in situations, and again, as a human and an adult, we have the right to expose ourselves to what we,
I guess we do,
I guess, in this day and age, but we're all consenting.
Yeah.
If you are part of a smoke circle in this day and time. But I tend to use the excuse of, nope, I'm going to keep mine to myself.
Listen,
bring your own.
There's certain people I'll share with. Like, you and I take pretty decent precautions, and you're kind of, even though you don't live here, I kind of consider you in my bubble because you stay in your own bubble. You live pretty much by yourself and, whatever. But if it used to be a time where you could be on the street, not legally, but you could be on the street smoking a joint and somebody would say, hey, let me hit that. And you'd be like, well, whatever. Right.
Sure, here you go.
That's the way of a stoner. I was always afraid of getting mouth herpes, so I don't do that. But now I have excuse. I'm just like COVID rules, bro. No, like I just say that. COVID rules. Sorry for you. I don't know you. Don't come to me, stranger danger.
Straight BYOB, bring your own blood.
Listen, but you don't have to be alone during this pandemic at all. Check the comment section. I posted a little link in there. If you guys want to join our Discord channel, we're in there just about every single day talking about whatever's going on for the day, smoking some J's. We welcome you to join us. So if you want to join us, if you want to join us in our Discord, go ahead and sign up. It's like an old 90s chat room, but with like video capability. So if you enjoy,
so we can all hang out, talk about what's going on. Yeah, we're just shooting. It's a way to be social without being in person. I think that was, again, for me, someone who doesn't like to leave their house a lot, it's really kind of cool, connection. Sometimes I feel,
it's 420 on the West Coast. It's 420 on the West Coast. Puff them if you got them. Puff them if you got them. Oh, yeah. Look. You're coming on camera. There it is. 420 on the West Coast.
Woo, woo, woo. Oh, yeah. Woo.
Hey,
we
got an alarm now. I'm telling you, we are trying to streamline this for you guys.
I've been waiting all week for this.
Yay! All week. That's what I've been doing since this morning.
This is a good time to kind of refresh, relight. You are listening to the Cannabis Closet podcast with Canna Queen and MJ. And we got Brian, our producer, on here with us today. This is his first day.
I'm loving it.
And we're talking about COVID and cannabis today and the recent headlines going on. So thanks everyone for joining us. And
in the comment section, if you guys have any questions about anything that we're saying or anything that we're sharing, feel free to ask them in the comments because we would love your input on it. I think that aging study says, though, that if you smoke cannabis, you're going to be happier. I think that's literally what it says.
I ever talked to who has just smoked any amount of marijuana always says that they're happier, usually.
I mean, I feel happier initially and immediately.
I feel happier right now.
I feel happier every
3 out of 3. That's a
3 out of 3 can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Oh my! I was just gonna say high five, but that looks really bad on camera. From my angle. So I'm not gonna do that. You guys can do that, but
I have to do it this way. I do it the wrong way. I have to do it this way.
Here, high five.
There we go.
And there. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Up here.
I don't know. We look like old people using the internet.
High five, low five. You ever do that with your
bunch of old Gen X and old millennials using the internet for the first time ever.
Are you guys behind here somewhere?
It's fantastic.
Oh.
So I saw a couple people come in. I hope you guys are still hanging out. I saw Kels come in. Kelsey, are you still in here? I want to give a shout out to Eureka Vapors. Definitely repping Eureka Vapors right now. I'm so freaking happy about it. Like, man, this product is fantastic. It is amazing. We just got some new disposables out. I wish I had one to show you guys. But they're rechargeable disposables. I guess like the biggest problem with disposables, I don't buy them that often because I'm always afraid this is going to happen, but the battery is going to die, right? And then I'm not going to get all my oil out. But these are rechargeable, and then they come in all these amazing different terpene flavors. So I'm pretty excited about them. I'm going to get some soon, and I'll show them off to you guys. What's up, Dawn? Dawn, the cannabis advocate in the house today. I saw Born Majestic was in here today. What's up, Born? If you guys are on Twitch, follow Born Majestic. Is it just Born Majestic or is it Born Majestic 420? Because I will have to look it up. Hold on. Let's go back to your comment. It should say it right there, right? Should say it right there. think you were in here. Yes, I know you were. There you are. Yeah, it's just Born Majestic on Twitch. Born Majestic 420 on TikTok is, I believe. So if you guys want to follow Born Majestic, this man can like throw down some freestyle. Like it's amazing.
Yeah, he's got some talent.
The way his brain works is just like always. I'm always like just like that's what I'm coming for. I'm not. You know, he has a Twitch channel. And he plays different video games. There's like a bunch of different gamers that join him and stuff. But I'm like really there, just holding out for some freestyle when I show up. So just a little side note, you know, just saying. Denise, hey, how you doing? Oh, you got the vids? Did you get the vids? So I'm gonna start calling it like it's a cool 80s thing. The vids.
Got the vid. It's an interesting discussion of those that, you know, have it, had it, recovered, you know, the different stages of it. The long haulers, you know, and what they're experiencing. And I think, you know, there's not much discussion, but about how cannabis can assist them, you know, moving forward, the long haulers, and utilizing, you know, again, kind of just, you know, the anti-inflammatory properties, the anxiety relief. You know, they're dealing with coming back into, you know, back into a life that's not theirs anymore. They're, you know, they're taking one step at a time, and so I think
I would say first and foremost, if you feel like this is a thing that you're dealing with, I would not recommend smoking. I would say take a break from smoking. I would say use oils in full spectrum whole plant material. That's what you want. You want whole plant. You want everything that the plant has to offer. You want that. You don't want so much isolates. Isolates lose things in the plant that you don't want to lose. You need them. So taking full spectrum oils. And I will say this, not just for COVID, this for everything.
This is for everything.
internal medicine is going to be your number one best bet and healthiest option when we talk about chronic illness. When we talk about chronic illness, smoking and vaping is great for early onset symptoms, like doling down the pain so that you can function enough to get out of bed. You might want to hit your vape pen a couple of times, something like that. And maintaining. But overall, if you're dealing with a chronic illness, consider putting a cannabis oil into your daily regime. Like that internal medicine is going to be the most effective thing at treating whatever your illness is. You may need more of one cannabinoid over another for different illnesses. So definitely we would want to do some research on the illness itself and how cannabis might work for that illness so that you can understand which cannabinoids and which terpenes are going to be best suited for you. But overall, if it says, you know, THC helps with pain and THCA with inflammation and, you know, blah, 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 you could still add those other compounds to your daily medicinal regimen, because those other compounds are going to help with the healing. The plant grows together. It works best together. That's how you want to keep it. You want to keep it best. FECO capsules and microdosing help with pain, and actually went back to chewing stems. So I do this sometimes. Stems have a little bit of the cannabinoid dust on them. Like the good stems, the ones that were close to the flowers, got a lot of it on there. But you could chew those or put them into a tea or something like that for a microdose effect. And honestly, you guys, I smoke a lot. I have a high tolerance. But for a majority of illnesses, microdosing is just what you need. You don't need larger doses. You just need the smaller doses. And so when she says I'm microdosing and it's helping with my pain, it's because your body's going to use what it needs. And then the other stuff is going to be just like fluff, you know? So just give your body what it needs. And then the fluff doesn't have to be there. You don't have to go too far. And you got nothing to prove to nobody. You got nothing to prove to nobody. I don't care if you're a TikTok star. I don't care if you're hanging out with your homies at home and they're just chuffing away and you're just like a one puff and you're good. It doesn't matter. It's what's best for you. Do what's best for you. This is 2022. It's a fuck about what everybody else is doing, not me.
No, worry about yourself.
Worry about yourself. Mind your business. I did that 10-year challenge. I put that 10-year challenge on my Facebook. I put hashtag 10-year challenge. Mind your business. Like, mind your business. Don't worry about what I was doing 10 years ago, and don't worry about what I'm doing now. If I want you to know, you'll know. Look at it. Look. Do you have that poster? This is something I want y'all to know. Do you have that poster ready?
I can get it up here. I think I had to switch it out with the doodle.
It's okay. Let me talk about it real quick. This is something I want you guys to know. CQ LLC has recently been approved by the Colorado Marijuana Enforcement Division to teach RVT, responsible vendor training, in the state of Colorado. If you take this course, you have to get credit for taking this course. You do have to take it from somebody who has been approved by the MED. So the course has to be fully approved. It's a long and arduous process. Delivery drivers and hospitality workers in the cannabis industry are required to take responsible vendor training. But outside of that, if you're an employee in the cannabis industry, it would behoove you and your company to take responsible vendor training in the event that there is an administrative situation, disciplinary action. They will use this course as a mitigating factor to the punishment that you receive for that administrative violation. So having taken this course prior to any administrative violations is going to really behoove you and your company.
Because hopefully you won't have an administrative violation because
that's their point.
You took
the training.
This course.
You took the training so you don't have administrative violations.
Excuse me.
Exactly.
Exactly
that. That's me. And you. That's us.
That's more of what you can expect on our intro.
So we're just singing our way through. So I hope everybody really enjoyed the information we put out today. I certainly did.
I know I did.
Did we miss anything? Is there anything else that we wanted to touch on that, MJ?
I can't. I think I said all the things from from all my papers that I pulled out.
So just like a quick recap is smoking is not going to help you avoid the vids, okay? It will make you feel better and probably prevent some deaths that day, but not from COVID. So that's for starters. Internal medicine is going to be your best bet. A nice combination of CBGA, CBDA, and probably THCA as well. These are the whole plant raw form cannabis compounds are going to be what's best to help with prevention and early treatment. These studies have only been done in petri dishes, so this is, what we're telling you is that these compounds aren't going to harm you. Nope. They're not going to harm you,
but they may assist you.
But they could assist, and so also just a side note, when the opportunity comes to speak about cannabis legalization, please use your voice to speak on cannabis legalization, because the fact is, if this was federally legal, we wouldn't have to ask a question about THCA. We would have the answer. We wouldn't have to ask for funding for something and get denied almost every single time. And then when we do get approved for it, they deny others so that the study can't be followed up. And that would not happen if we could just have it. It just needs to be descheduled. First of all, it needs to be taken off of the scheduling list. It needs to be, if it's going to stay on the scheduling list, it needs to go way the fuck down the line. But yeah, we need more access to these studies, and studies coming out of Israel are great, but and they're true, but we can't apply them here until they're done here. And that's a stupid rule. I didn't make it, but that's the rule. So I would like to see more of that. But if you guys do have questions about anything, or if you're like re-listening to the episode and you're like, I really have a question about that, you can send us an email. cannabiscloset420@gmail.com is our email. Feel free to reach out to us with any questions. It doesn't just have to be about this episode. It could be about anything that we have talked about, or anything that you would like to hear us talk about. We have a lot of really amazing shows with awesome guests planned in the very relative near future. And we're continuing to talk to more individuals to get them on the show to hear their perspective on different topics in cannabis. So what we're trying to do this year is really bring you a cohesive show, a well planned out show, still with our bits of humor, but we really do want to educate you, especially on Mondays, about cannabis. So if there's anything that you want to hear, we'd love your participation. Definitely join us in Discord. We put the link in the comments. Let me post it up there one more time. But if you're listening after the show on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, feel free to shoot us an email, and we'll send you an invite to come on to Discord. The more the merrier, as we say. The only rule is you have to be nice to everybody. So don't be a bigot is basically what we're telling you. But if you can treat everybody like a human being, then you're welcome in our circle. Absolutely.
And you get to see us in our
no makeup,
unfiltered.
Hair on top of the head, sleep in our eyes. It's great. It's great.
Only my best lighting.
Still, wake and bake with us. Have morning coffee and a joint.
Tea.
Hot
brown water.
We kind of bounce off what we've got to do for the day, and hopefully motivate each other to get her done.
Yeah, if you work from home, this is actually a great space too. You could come join us in our space, and it would help you. It would be like being in an office space. You hear a little bit of chatter in the background, and you get stuff done.
And we can still curse and smoke at the same time, and not worry about anything.
In your robe.
In your robe. I'm in my robe 90%.
We actually do have a room too. I mean, it's by invite only, but we do have a naked room. So like, if you feel like that's your vibe, we have a room for that, and you could be naked in there, and everybody knows that if you go in there, you might see naked, and that's it. I don't think very many people have utilized it, but I just feel so strongly about being naked that
we actually have the half naked room is going on right now. The camera is just down below.
Nice.
Me right now.
Well, very good.
No
this
pants.
Is the kind of information this is the kind of information they want to hear about. They want to hear about. They're gonna have questions about you, sir. I'm certain of it. Well, I don't know if I think we covered everything. We did it actually quite timely because we have fucking show notes.
And we will get the links up, but if you are interested in actually reading the article, it came out of the Journal of Natural Products, and the title is Cannabinoids Block Cellular Entry of SARS-CoV-2 and the Emerging Variants, and that was what just recently came out within the last couple of days from the university.
Let this show be a lesson to everybody out there to stop reading the headlines and then not reading any further. Like, you've got to read what it says underneath there, because we've learned a lot today. We've learned that smoking can save lives, but not from COVID, just from murder. And that's an important point to this whole story, is that memes are great and I love them and they're hilarious and I share some myself. But we do have to read the whole study and we do have to read the whole article, because this information can be very helpful. Even though this is in early stages of study, we can still use this science in our daily lives and get effectiveness from these cannabinoids if we can gain access to these cannabinoids. So that's the other part. And the more we know, the more availability there's going to be. So we have to learn these things about cannabis. We have to allow these studies to happen so that we have availability to like, we can pick up an oil or raw plant material that we know has tested with high levels of CBG A and CBDA and THCA. And we know that because they got it tested. It's still in its raw form. It's kept in like a fresh pack. You take it home, you juice it with some fruits and vegetables, and that's how you take your medicine. Like, we could have access to that, which rules and regulations don't allow for right now in any state that I'm aware of. We could have this. We could have this access.
We did the dispensary that I worked for had a juicing program. There was not testing on that juicing. We just offered it like a supplement, like just like wheatgrass, essentially.
But most are not going to do that, and because
and put it out, and if we did
that
see,
was in the early days too, right?
Yeah, it was totally in the early days.
Yeah.
And, when that facility changed hands, it changed totally. So
I think a lot of the rules are restricting that kind of stuff too. We have to like keep more track of all that stuff.
But
and anything we give out to the
yourself, if you grow for yourself, or you have a caregiver and you have access to fresh leaves that have been flushed, and
that's the thing, is that's what concerns me a little bit, is that you have to make sure that you get something that's been nice and fleshed out, which is why, getting a test sample of something. They do have home testing kits. I wonder if you could do a test sample of it that way, but it would be
knowing you're a grower, or knowing what you're doing yourself, knowing
you would also need
it properly. Which we want to have a juicing episode. We have that on the list to talk about.
It's important to understand too that when we're juicing, we're not just talking about juicing the fan leaves, water leaves, whatever you want to call them. We're talking about juicing the plant, the flowers where you're going to find those cannabinoids. So, or a majority of those cannabinoids are going to be right in those flowers. There's going to be a minute amount especially in the fan leaves. There's going to be some in the leaves that are close near, like the sugar leaves, or near the flower itself. But generally speaking, you definitely want to get that raw flower. You don't want it to dry. You don't want it to cure. You want to put it in the juicer and get a juice. You want to get all of those cannabinoids out of there and drink them up. Mix them with an apple. I don't know what to tell you, because it is
green. It's green.
It's green.
Sure.
It's green.
But
this is what this study is saying. This is what this study is saying. And here's the thing too, is that it will be very difficult to get the CBG component of this concoction through juicing, because most of that in most cultivars is gone during by early flower stage. So you would need a plant that maintains its CBG throughout its life cycle in order to get all of those compounds. That's the plant you would have to grow. Those plants are few and far between right now, because that's new science.
Ooh, so then is it kind of mixing all your cannabinoids that you can get, like what
I recommend external entourages all the time. I think taking, like, if you don't have all of the components in this, use this too, right? So when I was
Create your own medicine.
I was a dispensary agent, I would say, well,
Mhm.
I would use, this topical and this tincture and this edible, and this is when I would use them, and this is in the doses that I would recommend. Like, it was a recommendation. This is how I would recommend
Right.
for what
This is what, yes.
right. And so, yeah, I mean, if you can't, because also this was also back in the day, where we didn't have combos. We had like just isolates.
Mm-hmm.
So you would have to be like, use this together, right? So yeah, that's what it was. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean,
that's the entourage effect, people, right there. That's it.
We are going to we're manifesting Ethan Russo, just if you want to write that down, producer. We do have an email for this gentleman, so trust that's going to happen. There's a couple other big names that we would love to see on the show, but also we would like to see more numbers in these corners. So let us bring you big names, you bring us big numbers, and share anytime you see us. So if you see any kind of post from us that has anything to do with the show, tell all your friends about it. Invite them all to our Facebook page and to our Instagram page. And we're back on TikTok. We're going to give it another go on TikTok. So yeah, I mean, just help us grow. We want to be a community with you. And we want to bring you some big names in cannabis and in cannabis education, because that is really what we want, is to make sure that we're in the know. We got to be in the know about things, and Brian's going to help us do that too. He's already sent his first email. I'm so ecstatic. You don't even understand.
I sent my very first email.
Well, for us, anyway.
Yeah, make the moves, like
on our behalf.
Moving us forward. It definitely has already. We've already been able to move forward with some ideas, and we're looking forward to some more. So,
yeah,
welcome to the team, Brian. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate everything that you're doing.
Yes, look at this crazy weird background we got right now.
I know. Well, I designed it so it would fit with you guys in the middle. I didn't know I was going to be on camera.
Oh,
hi.
I mean, you're not always going to be on camera. I just pulled you in for this last bit. So again, if you guys want to reach out to us, Cannabis Closet 420@gmail.com. Cannabis Closet 420@gmail.com is where you can reach us. Come hang out with us at Discord. You can listen to us after the show. We're going to post this by Wednesday. It'll be posted on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. You heard me say by Wednesday, so it will be up there by Wednesday. I've made a commitment to you guys. We're doing this for you. We appreciate you guys being here with us every time. Thank you for our regular supporters. We see you and we love you, and we're gonna try to bring you the very best this year. And summer road trip. I said it out loud, so it has to happen now.
Yes. I mean, which we've got to start talking. We're already in the third week of January.
It's insane. I'm like, slow down. I don't want this week I don't want any more of this week. I don't want this month to go away. I want this month to hang out for like another 2 weeks.
Right. Just because we have a couple things that have to happen in the next couple of weeks. So
yeah, actually now, but yeah,
right. But
I'm all actually they have to happen
like that right before now. The temperature, before we hit that temperature, we actually need to get it done before this date. But yes.
If you see us, share us. We love you guys.
We love you.
Be nice to yourselves, and remember, put your mask on before assisting others. It's the only way to be.
Yes, cultivate love. You deserve it.
Just love everybody.
Stay lifted, everybody.
Stay lifted.
We love you. We will see you next time.
Stay safe.
Stay safe. Hey, Brian, hang out after I hit this button.
Okay.